Imagine descending through a narrow concrete shaft in the flatlands of southeastern Romania. The shaft drops straight down for 18 meters. There is no natural entrance. There never was. At the bottom, you squeeze through an airtight metal hatch and enter a limestone corridor so tight your shoulders scrape both walls. The humidity hits you instantly, 100%. The air is warm, 21 degrees Celsius, and it smells like rotten eggs. That smell is hydrogen sulfide. At the concentrations you are breathing, it is toxic. The oxygen level in this corridor is roughly half of what exists on the surface. Your body begins to compensate, your heart rate climbing, your breathing shallow and fast. And then your headlamp catches the walls. They are covered in a thick, pale film, something biological, something alive. You are standing inside an ecosystem that has been completely sealed off from the rest of the planet for 5.5 million years. And the creatures living here have never seen sunlight, never breathed clean air, and never encountered a single organism from the world above. This is Movile Cave, one of the most isolated places on Earth, a sealed underground world where life evolved on its own terms, in total darkness, in an atmosphere that would kill most living things on the surface. And what scientists found inside it is forcing us to rethink where life can exist, not just on Earth, but across the solar system. Movile Cave sits a few kilometers from the Black Sea coast, near the town of Mangalia in Romania. It is not large. The entire system stretches only 240 meters, roughly the length of 2 football fields. It has no natural opening, no crack, no sinkhole, no passage to the surface. Thick layers of clay and loess sealed it off from the outside atmosphere during the late Miocene, approximately 5.5 million years ago. For context, that is before modern humans existed, before the ice ages, before the Mediterranean Sea dried up and refilled. This cave was already sealed, already dark, already running on its own chemistry, while our ancestors were still living in trees. It was discovered entirely by accident. In 1986, a Romanian geologist named Cristian Lascu was conducting surveys for a geothermal power station. His team drilled into the ground and at just 6 meters below the surface, broke through into a void. A small, horizontal maze of limestone passages filled with warm, humid air that smelled of sulfur. No one had known it was there. No geological map showed it. The cave had been sitting beneath an unremarkable stretch of Romanian countryside, completely undetected, for longer than most mountain ranges have existed. But here is what makes Movile Cave unlike any other cave on Earth. Most caves, no matter how deep or remote, have some connection to the surface. Rainwater seeps in, air circulates. Organic material drifts down through cracks. Movile has none of that. The proof came from an unlikely source. In 1986, the same year the cave was discovered, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster spread radioactive cesium and strontium isotopes across Eastern Europe, including Romania. When scientists tested the water inside Movile Cave, they found no trace of those isotopes. Zero. The cave's seal was so complete that not even radioactive fallout from the worst nuclear accident in history had penetrated it. And yet, the cave is teeming with life. The air inside Movile is nothing like the atmosphere above it. Oxygen levels drop to as low as 7% in the deepest sections. On the surface, we breathe 21%. Below 7%, most surface organisms begin to suffocate. Carbon dioxide levels inside the cave reach 3.5%, roughly 100 times the concentration in open air. The atmosphere also contains 1 to 2% methane and significant concentrations of hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. If you walked into this cave without protective equipment, the hydrogen sulfide would begin damaging your respiratory system within minutes. The low oxygen would impair your judgment and coordination. The methane, under certain conditions, is flammable. This is not an environment designed for visitors, but for the organisms that evolved here. It is home, and they are unlike anything on the surface. Scientists have identified over 50 species of invertebrates living inside Movile Cave. 37 of them are found nowhere else on Earth. Spiders, leeches, water scorpions, centipedes, isopods, pseudoscorpions, worms. Almost all of them are blind. Almost all of them are depigmented, their bodies pale or translucent, because in 5.5 million years of total darkness, there was never a reason to develop eyes or color. Instead, they grew longer legs, longer antennae, and more sensitive chemical receptors. They navigate entirely by touch and by reading the chemistry of the air and water around them. In 2020, researchers described a new species of centipede found only in Movile. They named it Cryptops spilirex, the king of the cave. It is one of the top predators in this ecosystem, hunting other invertebrates through passages that have never known light. But the most extraordinary thing about Movile Cave is not its creatures. It is what feeds them. On the surface, almost every ecosystem on Earth depends on the sun. Plants photosynthesize. Animals eat plants. Predators eat animals. Remove the sun and the entire chain collapses. Movile Cave has no sun. It has never had sun. So how does anything survive? The answer is chemosynthesis. The walls and water surfaces of the cave are coated in thick microbial mats, bacteria that feed not on sunlight but on chemical reactions. They oxidize the hydrogen, sulfide, and methane that seep into the cave from a deep geothermal aquifer roughly 200 meters below. This chemical process releases energy, which the bacteria use to produce organic compounds. Those compounds form the base of the entire food web. Everything in Movile Cave, every spider, every leech, every blind centipede, ultimately eats bacteria that eat poison gas. The cave runs on sulfur and methane the way the surface world runs on sunlight. It is the first land-based ecosystem ever discovered that operates entirely on chemosynthesis. And here is where it gets truly unsettling. This is not just a curiosity. This is a model. Let's pause for a moment, because the implications of Movile Cave extend far beyond Romania. What scientists found 6 meters underground near the Black Sea may be the closest thing on Earth to what exists on other worlds. Europa, the ice moon of Jupiter, has a global ocean sealed beneath kilometers of frozen crust, no sunlight, rich in chemical energy from tidal heating. Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, vents hydrogen, sulfide, and methane into space from a subsurface ocean. The conditions inside Movile Cave, a sealed environment, no light, toxic atmosphere, life sustained by chemical energy, are strikingly similar to what we expect beneath the ice of those distant moons. If bacteria can build an entire ecosystem from sulfur and methane in a cave in Romania, then the argument that similar life could exist in the oceans of Europa or Enceladus becomes much harder to dismiss. Today, Movile Cave is one of the most strictly protected sites in Romania. Access requires special authorization from the Romanian Academy of Sciences. Only a handful of researchers have ever entered it. The entrance shaft is sealed with an airtight gate to prevent contamination from the surface atmosphere. Every visit risks introducing outside bacteria, spores, or chemical contaminants that could disrupt an ecosystem that has been stable for millions of years. Researchers who enter wear protective equipment, not to protect themselves from the cave, but to protect the cave from them. They limit their time inside. They carry as little equipment as possible. And they move slowly because every footstep disturbs sediment that has been undisturbed since before our species existed. Despite these precautions, research continues. As recently as 2025, scientists published new genomic analyses of the cave's bacteria, studying how their DNA has evolved over 5.5 million years of isolation. They found evidence of genome streamlining, the removal of genes that were no longer needed in a stable, unchanging environment. The bacteria in Movile are not just surviving, they are optimizing. Evolution in the cave has not stopped. It has simply been running a different experiment, in a different direction, for longer than most species on the surface have existed. Here is what stays with you. Somewhere beneath a flat, unremarkable stretch of Romanian farmland, 6 meters below the surface, there is a world that has been running without us for 5.5 million years. No sunlight, no oxygen worth breathing, no connection to anything above. Just bacteria eating poison and blind creatures hunting each other through corridors that have never known a single photon of light. This ecosystem was ancient before the first humans walked upright. It was thriving before the first ice age reshaped the continents. And it will continue, sealed and silent and complete, long after the power station that was supposed to be built above it has been forgotten. We spend billions searching for alien life on distant moons. But the closest alien ecosystem we have ever found is not in space. It is in Romania, 6 meters underground, behind an airtight door that we put there ourselves, because what is inside is too fragile, too strange, and too important to risk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.